Welcome to the Drum Shed podcast, and tonight we have Riza in the top corner, and we have Carlos Rodrigues. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's Riza. Yeah.
Yes, I know you're. Oh, he's so funny, Carlos
Yes, yes. Hi, Matt. Yeah, that sounds right. It's Rodrigues with an S,
Rodrigues.
Portuguese spelling.
Well, in that case, Boa tarde, Boa noite, even. Sorry, um, get that right. Do you speak Portuguese?
No, I can hardly speak English,
Oh, fair
but
enough. I'm fluent, but well, I'm fluent if it's good morning, good afternoon, and good night. That's about it.
That's not doesn't count as fluent, Matt.
Fair enough.
And if Carlos doesn't speak it, then you could say anything and get away with it, couldn't you?
I could.
Carlos, whereabouts are you? You're in the UK, aren't you?
I am. Yes. So I'm currently in St Leonard's on Sea in East Sussex, the Hastings area. If you're familiar,
Right.
or if
Yes,
you're
Yes.
I'm very
familiar
familiar.
with Brighton, it's about an hour's drive from there, just over an hour on the train line.
And
Do they
is
still
that
have
where
the orange things to go up the hills on at Hastings? The orange tram thing.
That's
That's still
right.
there.
Yes, yes. I believe they still have that. Yeah. Have you ever visited Hastings?
Oh,
I
many times.
don't think
Yeah,
so, personally. No.
yeah. We used to go there when we were kids. Anyway, have you? Was
Anyway,
that where you came from? Was that where you started your life?
It's where I grew up for most of my childhood. Yeah, so my family moved here when I was 4 years old,
Right,
and then I did the move. That was until I was 23. That was when I
right.
did the move to the US. And
Yeah.
and your family came here from Portugal, did they?
no, in
No,
actual fact,
no.
well, the name is it's Goan, Portuguese. And Goa was a Portuguese colony, so there are a
Mm.
lot of Portuguese Goans that a lot of Portuguese names. And my father's father, that's where it came from. He was from Goa,
Right.
and
Okay.
he moved the family from my dad's side to Kenya, which is where my dad's from. He grew up in Nairobi, and he joined the army in the UK shortly after he moved here in '62, and he became a bandsman, which he did for 6 years, and it's part of the sort of musical influence in me.
So I'm
And
quite because my background
Nice.
is my parents were Sri Lankan, so not a million miles from Goa. Um, but very interested in your musical background. So that's where it comes from, is it? From your dad?
yeah, I think it's a combination because even though growing up, my mum, who's from London, she's from Bermondsey. She was a massive fan of music like the Beatles in the '60s. I saw them at the Apollo, I think in '65, '66, and and then having a brother who was really born into it obsessively, far more than I did. I mean, as a boy, I was more into sports and football and you know playing with friends out in the sunshine, that kind of thing. And but I think it kind of grew on me as I became an older kid, in my teens. So, but yeah, it definitely was. Definitely, I was surrounded by it growing up. We used to have in you can't see it, but behind me in the living room on the back wall, there used to be this massive rug of Elvis Presley in his sort of glittery white outfit from the show he was in Hawaii. And so yeah, one of the many inspirations. Well,
And I don't know if one is allowed to ask this, but what sort of age are you, Carlos? Because I'm looking at
Oh,
you
that's a bit of
thinking,
a question, isn't it?
yeah, I know you can't bloody ask that in interviews and shit these days, can you? But as this is a podcast, I'm hoping I can get away with it.
I'm 44.
Oh, right, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
Reese's ahead. Reese's the leader on this game.
I am. depending on the criteria for judging it.
Well, start at 1 usually.
Yeah, but whether it's oldest or youngest that counts.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But I mean, our common connection, I guess, is Mike's lessons, isn't it?
That's right.
Which-
Yeah. So and Matt, I think that was my connection to you originally. Or
Yeah, that was,
yeah, it was.
yeah. So for the listener, so Carlos is a drummer, obviously, which is why he's on a drum podcast. I came to meet you in the Mike's Lessons family page and things, as it was on the Facebook page before. And we've met in person, and we spoke when you came over from California, which we'll go back to that. San Francisco, wasn't it? Was it San Francisco?
That's right, San Francisco. Yeah.
So we're all of us are members are currently members of the Mike Johnston thing, which is what we've always said on this podcast. Excuse me. Is that a lot of people that we know, and a lot, through the podcast, or the reason that the podcast even kind of happened would have been through connections made within that group of people. And then one of the nice things about that group is that it's more than just you getting online lessons at home in your bedroom or your studio or wherever you might be, because it actually turns into proper friendships and relationships, and people find where you are. I don't mean that in a stalking way, but you go, I've got people nearby. We have Aurea that's been on the show a couple of times. She doesn't live too far away from me. Riza and I have met. A number of us have met in real life. You and I have met at the UK Drum Show. It's a nice way of getting more than just less drum lessons out of an online service, and I think
Yeah,
Mike always says about family, and he calls it the family, and family is a word that's used quite a lot in drumming. You see, like, Meinl family or Zildjian family and all this sort of thing. And I don't know how comfortable I feel about the family word, because obviously it's quite of an American thing, but I understand it's the friendliness and it's the group of friends that people make, and the connections, whether they're, whether you want to call it family or whatever. But yeah, so that's how I got to know you, and really wanted you to come in and just hear about your story, because I was very confused initially, if I'm honest, probably because of making a few assumptions. Your look and your name, and the fact that you were you were in California when we first communicated, I guess. And I thought you was American.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I just thought you kind of looked American, and you were, the name is a bit more cool than John Smith, and sorry, John. And I thought, yeah, and then when you spoke to me, I thought, oh, he's English, and then I realised, because I didn't know, so obviously you're English. Do you consider yourself English? I shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
You identify as English.
I suppose I do. A makeshift American as well,
Yeah.
if you will. I think just because of having spent, all my 20 or most of my 20s and all my 30s there. And
you mentioned
yeah.
You mentioned you went out to the States when you were 23.
Yeah, I just turned 23 when I did the move.
What took you there?
It was love. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, Matt, I don't think we've spoken much about that, or my wife Alison, who's from there. Of all the places that she lived and moved to over the years, San Francisco is the place she stayed the longest, and it was that connection. We had met actually when I was in England. I'd just graduated from the University of Greenwich and moved back to my hometown of Hastings, that area, and my brother was friends with someone from. There was a sort of close friend family connection from when my wife, her father used to work in the Peace Corps in Nepal, and he befriended the head of this medical care unit in Kathmandu, and who was part of a big Nepalese family, and they emigrated to the UK, and they stayed very close family friends over those years. So that's the reason why Alison was in the UK when I
Oh,
happened to be moving back and meet her. And yeah, so it's sort of crazy the amount of sort of traveling around that
all
we've
over the
all been
place,
doing.
isn't it? Yeah. It's really... So you
Yeah.
met her in Greenwich?
No, I met her in a bar in Hastings, actually, of all
Oh, okay,
places.
fair
Yeah, and it was one of those things that developed. It was over the summertime. My brother he had a band for many years called the Crayons, and being the sort of the older brother to sort of look up to, and wishing that he was in his, I was hoping one day there'd be an opportunity to play for that band, and that actually happened. And yeah, I had a great debut show. We played at the Crypt. Are you familiar with that venue in Hastings?
Yeah,
not
well,
Guy
myself.
host.
No.
I've heard of it,
Yeah,
but I don't know why.
they so just so happened at that time that the Blue Tones were headlining there, and my debut gig was sort of playing for my brother's band, opening for them. And yeah, that was the night that Alison and I actually, that's when we started, when we connected. It's a shorter version of the story of how it
Cool. Okay.
unfolded.
Yeah,
But
fair enough. That's probably yeah, not too much detail.
And yeah. So drum wise, did you start as a kid, or how did that come about?
yeah, it's a good story. I'm trying to. Oh, good question, Rod. I'm trying to remember sort of where my first inspiration was, and I thought about this recently because I had to write a paper for school, and I did a literature review and talked about remembering Live Aid and seeing Roger Taylor on TV, just how amazing he looked and sounded. But I think between that and Ringo and the Beatles, I think that's why I sort of started to tap on tables in primary school. And then yeah, from about 11, that's initially when I had lessons, and then that wasn't a it was quite an awkward age for me to be doing anything where there'd be attention on me. I was quite a sort of shy, introverted person then, and that changed as in my teen years. So I think when I became 17, that was when I decided I wanted to play the instrument because I wanted to. Yeah, not just because there was this family support and encouragement, but I realized, no, that actually is the instrument I want to play. And then that was when I got this private teacher to come back. He had taught me 4 years prior, and that was when it really started for me. And I had a drum kit in this house I'm in, which is my parents' house,
Hmm.
and yeah, it took on from there, really.
What was the kit? We always ask people what their first kit was. That's a good time, I think, to get
The
that
brand
out there.
the brand was Thunder. That's all I really remember
Thunder,
about
yeah.
it. I think it was a beginner level kind of drum kit.
Yeah, I think
Right.
it's like one of those stencil ones, isn't it? Where they've got different names like Thunder and
Lightning.
I was going to say Lightning, but I stopped myself. What's the other one? God bloody hell, Diamond. Is that Diamond or something? Or there's a bunch of names that are sort of put on these kits, but they're all kind of made in the same place. I think. What was it? Now was it wine red, or was it metallic blue, or was it
No, it
black?
was black.
Right, okay. Yeah. That's genuinely what most of the colors are. Like the wine red one is very, very popular in that kind of kit, and then the black, obviously. Was it Power Toms?
I don't remember that much detail.
Yeah, I'm a geek.
I had it.
Sorry.
I had it. Yeah, and actually, I was going to bring up. I do have some knowledge of gear, but I remember even at a drum camp with Mike Johnston having a conversation with him about it, because one of the things that campers do at drum camps is at the end of each day they hang out behind the hotel. There are these fire pits, and that's where there's a lot of good socializing, good bonding. And one thing that the drummers do when they get together is talk about, oh, what kind of drum kit do you have?
Yeah.
And I always found that in the groups, I was the person doing that the least, because I enjoy very kind of story driven conversations, but also it's because I'm less knowledgeable. And I told Mike Johnston that the next day and said, it's like that movie Days of Thunder, where Tom Cruise says to the engineer Robert Duvall, his character, oh, I don't know about cars, I know how to drive them. And Mike said, that would make me Robert Duvall in this scenario. I thought,
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, I couldn't tell you.
I hear a lot. I hear a lot.
Not really.
Go on, mate.
Are you not really sort of interested in gear now? Or
I am, yeah, I am. I think just not maybe to the extent of a lot of my drummer friends who, so I like you, Matt. I'm quite if I had a preference of cymbal brand, it's definitely Minor. I have more Minor than any other type. Prior to that, Zildjian, A Customs.
I didn't know Matt was into vinyl. Kept that quiet.
Who said that? It's a vicious rumor. Yeah, ridiculously obsessed with vinyl, but for good reason. And actually, I think the reason I like them is I have got really into the gear, but I've said this before, I like the cymbals first because of the choice and the sound, that the softness of a lot of the cymbals that I particularly like. So yeah, I've become obsessed with the gear. But I think there are some people, and I've heard Eddie say, I was listening to podcast. I listen to them all the time. When the new ones come out, just listen to one today on the way to work. And sometimes they have these conversations, and I'm like, yeah. So what's that one called? Oh, have you heard of that? And I'm like, how do you not know that? I'm shouting at the radio. But a lot, they do know a lot of stuff, and they were talking about Pearl. They were talking about on this recent podcast they've got, and I've heard Eddie and Mike both saying that they might not know what's currently going on with certain products, because most of the stuff that they would focus on would be the stuff that they're endorsed by, but also there are people that talk about stuff and there are people that do it. And I would put myself in the box of a phrase that I've heard a lot: all the gear and no idea. And I also put myself in the box of talking about stuff maybe to distract from actually having to do the playing, or to improve. So I think there are people that can do both, that are into both, that are know the gear and can play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think it's not right to say all the gear and no idea.
No, I know it's a phrase. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not fishing.
I would class you as a total gearhead.
Yeah, and working in the shop actually is like a good place for me, because when I do that once a week, it's nice to talk about the gear, and people come in and don't have any idea because they're like mums and dads buying for the kids or whatever. So I like to tell people stuff, but yeah, sometimes I probably get into it too much, scare them off. But yeah, I think it's nice to know what you had. I mean, because most people say, like a Pearl Expo or something like that.
Yeah, Premier is a brand. That was the brand of kit that I had afterwards. Once I was older, this was around, I think, 18, 19. I had money to save up, and buy my own kit. And in the UK, I think Premier brand is more well known and established than in the US.
Yeah.
And I had is it an
APK?
APK. There we go. Yeah.
Red.
It was red. Yeah.
There was a lot of red ones about.
Oh, okay, okay. That was
Yeah.
also a good guess. Yeah, I had that. I had that kit for a number of years, right up until I did the move, and that was when I sold it.
Yeah.
Oh, and you've been on several Mike's camps, haven't you? Well, at
That's
least.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. I've been on quite a few. I think 7. Yeah, 7 drum camps,
Wow.
and then he did another one that was for teaching people how to make better videos.
Yeah.
And most of the skills I have in terms of how to use a camera and making editing videos come from that crash course. It was a 2 3 day. Yeah, that was really amazing as well. But the first drum camp that I went on, I had a great full circle moment with one of the other campers from that camp. Was in the same the same one that I was in more recently, the last camp I did. And yeah, Kyle Gilbert is his name, from Canada, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it was just quite a remarkable thing to see. That was his first camp as well, my first camp, and to see the journey he went on and the progress he made over those 5 years was really something special.
And was there a 5-year gap between those two, or was that just between the ones that you and Carl were both on?
But yeah, between the ones I was on with Kyle, my second, between the first and second, there was a gap because of the pandemic, and then that was when Mike did held the camp for the video making, and then the year after that, that was when I returned and did because I'd had, I think, 3 years of practicing between the first and the second one. I think that was where there was the biggest jump, because I I I, I would say my work ethic changed quite incredibly from that first camp. It was a breakthrough, sort of very humbling moment of and realizing, oh wait, okay, there's this whole other side if I work on these things and really change my outlook, on the instrument, and kind of be less of someone who shows up to practice in the band and hope someone's written the song, to no, in between that time I can do this and this, and work on these
Yeah.
things and actually enjoy it and do it because I want to do it. So yeah, I think that was where there was this big, sort of, at least visible change, not only something that Mike Johnston could see, but the bandmates, the band I was in at the time, picked up on as well.
Cool. And you're one of you've been doing sessions, haven't you, as well?
Sessions, yeah, that's right. And I suppose for those listening who are not familiar, it's sort of a musical recording project, right, where there are multiple rounds, and each round is a different style of music, or a different set of challenges, where you're given a drumless track that you have to sort of perform and record yourself on, and then you there's sort of a grading, right, where it gets looked at by Mike Johnston, and then he helps to kind of guide you along the way as a sort of musical director, if you will. But that be a good explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Although
Yeah.
the main
I think
difference I find with sessions over anything I've known before is that if you have learnt a song from a book or from another educational means, not from a person in person, you might play the song and record it and go, yeah, done that, and then move on to another one and say, you smashed it. And the difference is, maybe with other online things, unless it's actually approved, you can't move on.
That's right.
That's one of the major things, because you're literally it's a pass or fail. It's like your driving test. If you don't pass your test, you can't drive your car on your own, right? So I'm stuck at my place that I've been at number 12 for a long time, and it's possible that 13 would be easier for me or better, or I might get it quicker, or 14 or whatever, because some of them doesn't necessarily mean they're particularly harder. Some of them, they do get harder, I guess, but some people might find that, I don't know, 2 is easier than 5. That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? 7 is easier than 9, or that doesn't make sense either. I'm getting it really
Right.
right.
No, but
You know what I'm
every
trying to say?
yeah, essentially every session presents different challenges in
Yeah,
different aspects, right? So some of them are technical. It might be the style of music that you don't have the background playing in,
yeah,
or it might be from a drum part writing perspective that challenges you.
yeah,
And and I think in the case of different drum styles that it exposes you to, I think that's great in the sense that you can really you can assess, self-manage what it is that you are working on, and in a granular level, so you get it down to what are the incremental goals that I need to work on, what are the specific exercises that I need to practice, and where is it that I'm failing, right? Because those are the points where you realize, okay, there's room there to grow somewhere in my playing, and whether it's, okay, this part here is where I get stumped, I can't play it. What do I need to do? Do I need to slow it down? Do I need to, just put more time into it? It's that, what is it that drives you to want to be able to play this thing, right? Um, More than just because I want to get past it. It's you know, now I'm better, and then hopefully that will come out in my playing in other things in some way. And I think that's part of what I enjoy about the sessions. It's over time giving you a toolkit for having those skills, those recording and studio skills, right, that professionals have.
yeah. I mean, I know that it's not a requirement for you to do or provide a professional quality video and audio. That's not part of the thing, and that's very much promoted, that even if you've just got an iPhone, that's fine. And if you've got an iPhone and
Yeah,
a practice kit, or an iPhone and then an e kit or cheap kit or whatever it might be, that's all acceptable. But what you do find, a lot of people, I mean, some people that might have already had that interest anyway, or just started doing it anyway, they might start seeing this as not only as a route to improve performance and playing the drums, but actually lighting and angles and cameras and editing and stuff like that. And I think I went down that rabbit hole quite a bit at the beginning, more so. I've looked at some of my older videos recently, and I thought, wow, some of those are really good quality videos, as in the way they looked. Not so about the playing so much, but the videos look quite good. And I so you get more than just that. So you get that learning the song, playing the song. I learned to use my hi-hat foot, and I'll say my hi-hat foot, not my left foot, because mine's right. But my hi-hat foot never used to move. And I used to say this to Mike at the very beginning. I can't get my foot off I can't, it doesn't move unless I'm doing so,
mm.
and that was a major thing. Now I'm still not brilliant at it, but number 2, session 2 makes you do it. And I've been much more proficient doing it than I used to be. And I've never had to really do it. I've kind of, oh, I can't do it, I'll ignore it, and I'll just don't worry about it. Um, but I
Yeah,
think that's the thing about session. It makes you do the things because you've got to pass, if you want to pass.
right. And that one you mentioned, session 2, where you're keeping time not only time, but it's part of the pattern that you play using the left foot, and that's something that I didn't really think much about in terms of using that, other than timekeeping and body mechanics, not as much when it came to recording. So to then have that be the requirement as part of the drum part that you have to play, I thought it was a great challenge. I mean, it comes in quite early on because it's only the
It
second
does, doesn't it?
session, right? So
It's like 1 to 20, overnight. One was easy, and
exactly,
I'm like, this is no, hang on, this still says beginner, doesn't it? I think number 2 is still under
it
the
does,
beginner
yeah.
category, and I'm like, and I lost a lot of confidence on that.
But I think it's great preparation though for what advanced things could come. I mean, not just in sessions, but in music. So, for example, when I one of the drum lessons in last semester I had for school, we went through different styles of music each week, and one was jazz waltz. And you have to do two chicks with the left foot, and that felt very foreign, very sort of alien to me. To do that as part of a pattern in the style, and so but I think having some use from using the left foot more in that sense in the recording did lend itself though.
I studied with Craig Blundell. I don't know if you know of him, but he put me onto these little left foot touches a few years ago, and rather than just solid eighth notes or solid quarters, I'm a big fan of just trying to chuck in some left foot stuff into your groove. And Craig often talks about doing things that only make a small difference to the sound of your groove, and most people wouldn't pick up on. But another drummer watching might go, "Oh, that's a bit tasty. What was that he was doing?" And that's what I love to do with my left foot. Is if I'm shuffling, for example, just close the left foot on the third partial of a triplet shuffle, or the second, that kind of thing, and just put in a few patterns, and it definitely adds a tasty element to the groove. Obviously, not the way I do it, but if I was a good player. But yeah, I was surprised that Mike put that left foot eighth note thing in session 2, because it was quite a challenge. I think I failed 3 times before I passed that one.
So definitely was the one thing that you worked on the most for that session.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I remember my wife saying, "I thought you did this to cheer yourself up. You've been miserable for ages with this, like getting the hump with it." And I really got like, oh, let's sell everything. And I had to get on the e-kit and really focus on doing that, which is what I do. Because I've got the 2 options. If I'm really stuck, I try and go away from the distraction of the beautiful gold shiny minor cymbals, and then just look at the rubber stuff or the electric kit, and just focus on the job in hand as opposed to being distracted by the coolness, which is easy for me because I'm very easy distracted, as most people would know who met me. But yeah, I think it was an interesting place to put it in number 2. But where are you now? You 21 or something, or
22?
22.
It's the one with the train beat.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
That's a mile away from me.
That one.
Yeah, I like it's a fun song, so I look forward to taking that one on. It's one that I definitely practice while I'm in the UK, but I don't have access to my studio with all my drum kit and recording gear. So it's something that may wait until I get back to San Francisco to do. But in the meantime, it's one that's it's going to be nice to practice a little bit on.
So when we talked about why you're here,
sorry,
is that what you were going to ask?
I was just going to say, you're at BIMM currently, aren't you, Carlos?
That's right. Yes, I'm halfway through a 3-year program at BIMM University in Brighton, and I just started semester 2 of year 2 this week. and just had my first lessons, and the modules are different this semester. You might be wondering why I'm I'm on the why I'm here.
Yeah. He's got his place in San Francisco. We thought he'd hang out in Hastings, but obviously you come over here for a reason. In the warm weather.
I mean, I'm essentially on the reverse journey of my classmates. The vast majority of them, I think, hope to play in a band, as part of the journey, or when they get out. So a lot of them are in bands already right now, and they're very into that. And I already did that for the best part of 25 years, especially when I was in San Francisco. I was in one particular band for 12 years. That one was my baby, and then another one after that for 5. And when that one, when I departed that project, I say that it was, I think, my desire to do other things as a working drummer grew, but I also found that over time, most of the contacts I had in the Bay Area had moved on. That they either moved to other cities or other states. And you know how in the music industry, you talk about how it's who you know, it's who you know, it's who knows you, and it's staying on top of who you know and who knows you, because people move on, and whether it's because they move away, because they move on to other things, other industries, things change, and I think the industry certainly changed in the Bay Area too, where things became more saturated over time. Yes, there are still some really great music venues there with a lot of history, and I've gotten to work in quite a few of them as well as play, and that's great. Certainly, if you're an established touring artist or band, then there's a place for that. But certainly as a working musician, it became more bleak for me. So I tried to be a pro drummer for a little while, and when I found that challenging, it was actually Alison who suggested, oh, well, why didn't you try going to BIMM? You've talked about how you wondered how that experience would have gone if you'd gone. It was something I'd thought about doing before I did the move to the US, and not that she was forcing me away from her, but it was her idea for me to come here. And then I applied very quickly after that, and I think within a few weeks or a couple of months, I was on a Zoom call with Pat Garvey, and it progressed really quickly from there. And he's been in my corner since day one. And I did the move. My parents still have the same house I grew up in as a boy, so that was a factor behind the move too. Is if I'm going to study at this stage where I am in my life, a serious sort of educational path in music at university level, then just having that comfort zone of a family, to be around when I'm doing a lot of running around and commuting, then coming back to a familiar surrounding, because Brighton, I love Brighton as a city, and there's a lot of sort of strong bond and connection from when I was here in my earlier years, and a lot of happy memories. It was the city where I found the engagement ring to propose to Alison. For one, it's where I had my bachelor party, got dressed up as Ali G.
Cool.
As you do.
Yeah.
as you
still is, to be fair, but
So what's it like at BIMM with guess
with kids.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just trying to think
No,
how
no,
to
that is
say it.
the reality. Most of my classmates are 19 and 20, and I did wonder going into it, how am I going to be
Yeah,
perceived, and I'm not sure. I think at this point, everyone, well, most people, I'm guessing, know, but actually, not only did a lot of the other students think I was a teacher, a lot of the other teachers thought I was a teacher and a staff member
yeah,
as well. So I would, show up to that. There's a counter where you can go for support on sort of tech related, equipment related things, and so some of those staff members thought I was a teacher. So
but
yeah.
in terms of, I mean, this intrigues me, Carlos. In terms of life experience, you've presumably been through so much stuff that these guys haven't been through. Um, I mean, I was
Mm,
on AJ Roussel's Drummers Odyssey camp. It was only a weekend a few months ago, and there was a few BIMM students on that. And, you know, great kids, hugely talented. And I've got pants that are older than them. Um, and you sort of think, how is that for you, that you've been through all this life experience that they haven't? Are you like an oddity, or do you mix with them, or how
I,
does it pan out?
I do. On one hand, I found that they they're doing very much what I did when I was their age at college, university, and that is hang out with groups of friends my own age.
Yeah,
So that's what they're doing. They've got their best buds, and they form into bands, and some of them live together. They house share and commute in, and all that. So, I mean, I would say from a socializing standpoint, there is a little bit of that, but because I go in to it with a lot of intention, and I've come from a long way, and I'm at a different stage in my life. I don't I'm That's not the experience that I'm living from that perspective. That's very much, a lot of them are living that kind of experience. Um,
yeah,
but I think, though, I found, so for example, one of the modules we have is called performance skills, and the way that works is you show up, you get put into a band, and then you get some kind of assessment at the end of the semester, but you're given this kind of goal or criteria where you've got you'll play different exercises together, and then you eventually have to write songs as a band, which you perform on a stage, and then you get graded. So there's a lot of work together where you're doing rehearsals, and then you have to put practice time outside of the lessons as well, or at least most of us do that. And I've had a lot of fun rehearsals where I don't think at all about the age, what
right.
ages they are, what age I am. I just kind of just look at them as bandmates a lot of the time, which I think in a good way.
I
That's
I I think
oh,
with music there is a common interest that age is a little bit less relevant than it is in some other areas. Personally, I think that I have a similar situation where I work only one day a week, but I work in the shop, and most of the people in the shop are a lot younger. They are more likely my son's age than to be my age. So they're 19, 20, and what have you. There are a few older boys like myself
Mm.
that's there. And I'm a Saturday boy. So I call myself, like the oldest Saturday boy here. I'm not actually the oldest person there, but I absolutely, and I'm childish anyway, so that probably helps. But I really get on with them exactly, in many ways, possibly better than people that I work with that are similar age to me in my normal job. And I think because the music thing, and people are like, how do you know? How do you know Lol Kana? You know, how do you know Yusuf Days? Because what? Because I'm old. I shouldn't know them, you know. And like I know these cool people that some of the drum people that I hang out with or the other musicians that I know, they might know of these bands. In fact, I don't know a lot of rock bands or older sort of, you know, the classic stuff that I should know, being my age. I never really had a lot of interest in that. But I know a lot of things like Yusuf and, you know,
Mm,
Tom Misch or whatever. And
yeah,
they're a little bit surprised, but actually that makes it, you know, like we're relevant, it's irrelevant, you
th-
know, we have a relevant
yeah, it makes it interesting for
chat,
them.
makes it interesting. And
It,
for
it
me, I mean, we'll go out to the drink, we'll go for the Christmas party. I don't drink anyway, but we'll I'll go out and just have fun and enjoy the time with them as much as, you know, and possibly because I am a bit childish, but I get on really well. They take, you know, one drunk guy said the other day about, you know, calling me dad and stuff like that. But they kind of like it as well, and I don't mind because being a
mm,
dad is important to me.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
if you know, that's great. And your course that you're doing now, is it? uh, I didn't see. I didn't. I should have
It
checked. But is it a BA
yes,
honors in
it is. It
performance?
is. Yeah, it's popular music performance is the name of the program.
Yeah,
So it's very sort of performance based. There's one module, as I say, where it's performance skills, where you're essentially the function is daily function is playing in ensembles,
yeah,
and that for me is one of the most valuable things I'm getting out of the experience. For as much as you know, the bandmates are at a sort of earlier stage than I am.
yeah,
It's the feedback from the teachers who watch me play. So, and even in in year one, when we were playing these, you know, weekly, these different songs,
mm,
and I remember one week it was a Bruno Mars song, and one of the teachers, who's a bass player, he came on stage and played with me because there weren't any bass players in the group that day,
yeah.
and we did one run through, and he went up to me on the side. He went, that was good, but just try and just be more laid back. It's all about the feel. Just imagine that the band is all, you know, smoking, and just all the hits are more, you know, sort of
Out of
delayed.
time.
Just sort of stretch, you know. So it's a little laid back with the, you know, the hits. And I said, okay, got it. And then we did another run through, and he went up to me and said, that was great. And so it's a lot of little side conversations like that that I remember, and that I take that on board, and then it comes out in my playing. I think that makes it, you know, valuable, because those are the things where you need someone from the outside kind of watching you to sort of notice things that you might not notice yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Out of interest, which Bruno Mars song was that?
It was the Leave the Door Open, I think. No.
Right.
Shoot.
I don't know. I don't know many, to be fair. Although,
Blanking on it.
as
We'll
you
come
know,
back.
Reed, so whenever anyone says, "Do you know this song, this title?" I'm like, "No," but then as soon as someone starts playing it, I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah," but I never remember songs necessarily by their title, even ones that I listen to all the
Yeah,
time.
I'm the same. And then you hear it, and it's like,
You
oh
hear it,
yeah,
so, oh, it's
of
that
course I
one.
know that.
Yeah. It's interesting that and I won't go into too much detail, but you're doing a course. Is it 2 or 3 year?
3 years. It's
Three.
single honors. So I'm not doing that course jointly with another one. It's just that one
Yeah.
program.
So my boy has just this week left. He only just started in September, and not BIM, but he's just left. Doing the performance side, he wasn't getting any lessons, and he wasn't getting a lot out of it, and he was quite frustrated. So you know, he's
Ah, that's too
19.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's 19. He's left it. Now he might decide to come back and do a Carlos later on, you know, but what he is doing now, he's moved over to doing audio production. So he's still doing an honours degree in a different place. But he's doing the production side. He won't give up on drumming. He's still teaching drumming. He wants to do grade 8. He wants to do that. He's in the band and stuff like that. But he's kind of a bit disheartened with the education thing. So it's interesting, someone, and if it was me, I would absolutely bite their hand off and lap it up because of life experience and because of, regret's a great thing. I should have done a lot of stuff in the past. So I think it's pretty cool, if you ask me. And one of the points of this podcast is to talk to people. And I don't mean talk to people as we're talking now, but talk to the people that might be listening to it when they're driving to work, hating their life or their job or whatever. That sounds a bit dramatic, but it's pretty honest. And I'm thinking, oh, do you know what? I might connect with that. I might do something. I might actually start making a difference and actually do something that I wish I should have done when I was younger. So I think for someone of your age, which is still younger than me and very much younger than Riza, I think if you're brave enough to make that decision, because it is a massive deal, isn't it, to stop whatever you were doing wherever you were, and not only even without the travel from the bay of San Francisco to the bay of Brighton. It's quite a different thing to do, and then, like I say, it's a lot of people would be quite absolutely petrified to do something like that. And it's great you've got the support, and it's lovely and cozy and homely that you've got the parents and the family home that you grew up with, and that familiarity to come home to your roots, whilst making new friends with new younger people and new connections and learning and improving and then taking it back. I think it's a pretty cool message to give to anyone. I mean, people who could do something without being as dramatic as traveling across the ocean.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I could decide to go back to uni at my age of plus 50 plus. But financially that's not possible. But if that, I think I get very excited by the education thing, because it didn't seem to be there wasn't as much going on when we were at school. There were a few things, but they were very few and far between.
Yeah, true. And the technology is different now from what it was then too. I think in a very good way. And I think one other thing that factored in before I made this decision for these big changes is one of the other drummer friends, fellow Mike's Lessons drum camper. He was talking about how Berklee School of Music, there are some programs you can do remotely where you don't have to do that from afar. So I was looking at that at first. But then the idea of going somewhere where you are there physically with other people, who had the professional experience, and some of these other drum teachers, they've got, and the people that they've played with too. It's really amazing, and my mindset shifted in the last few months of being here. Which is a massive change from before I started the program. I went into it thinking, oh, okay, I wonder how different is the music industry in the UK now compared to when I lived here in the 90s and early 2000s, and what's the kind of music that kids are into. What could I learn from that, and what could I get from the connections through the platform of the school? And it's gone from that to, I just want to learn to be a really good drummer, because I've discovered there are way more gaps in my learning from things like the drum lessons I had in semester 1 of this year opened up so much more than I thought I would see it with. So for example, it starts out with basic jazz 1 week, then jazz standards, but then it goes into all the different styles. We got jazz waltz, basic samba, songo, Mozambique, Afro-Cuban 6/8, and with all of these different styles, you have an entire PDF sheet with all these different variations of how you play the style of, the groove, and that's barely scratching the surface. Just with Afro-Cuban 6/8 alone, I got a book on it recently, and that this was something that Pat Garvey recommended, and it was one of those things that when the deeper you delve into it, the more you go, okay, open a can of worms with this, but it can take you so far, once you put the work into it, and the hours, and it's one of those things that made me feel more excited and think, oh yeah, I can see myself, getting to that other level of playing, and enjoying sort of the journey of how I get there, but having that summer break, that kind of longer chunk of time where you can more consistently go into a room with a drum kit, and work on things, because as Pat Garvey says, it more than 90% of it is what work it's what you practice outside of the lessons.
Yes, and bless you while you sneeze there.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
We could see that. We couldn't hear it, luckily, because of the magic of Zoom. But
I do a silent snooze.
Oh, do you?
As well, yeah.
So I'm aware that because we had a few technical issues at the beginning of this, so we've overrun the normal time. But there are quite a few things that we were going to get into.
That's okay. Yeah.
Are you okay for
a little bit? Yeah.
You mentioned Pat several times.
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about Pat because
right. So is he actually one of your teachers on this, or is head of drums, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah, and I had him as a teacher in year one, and this year, while he hasn't been a teacher for one of my modules, I had been getting tutorial sessions with him. So on a one-to-one level, we've been looking at more specific things for me, which has been really fantastic. It's been a great help, and just been getting some really great advice from him.
What do you think of his hairstyle, though?
You always say that about Pat Garvey.
Well, I think it's it's very very appropriate for a drummer.
Cheers.
It's pure envy, Matt, because he's got such a fine head of hair.
We'll see a box of eggs in it, me and you. So you, because Riza knows Pat. I've not actually ever met Pat Garvey, but Riza's more familiar with the chap. He's the man that has two names, because you would never say Pat. You just say Pat Garvey.
Yeah, but both you and Mel have had goes at me for calling people by their two names recently.
Oh, did Mel ever go at you about that as well? I always liked her. I always liked her.
3 days after you did, she said to me, "Why do you always say Andrew Evelyn?" And I said, "I can't believe this. Matt just
has a habit of saying people's first name, second name." Yeah.
Yeah, but Pat Garvey, like you say, if you just said Pat.
No, I think his name does actually warrant it.
Okay, Andrew Evelyn. I mean, we know several Andrews.
Sorry, Carlos. I asked you if you had any extra time, and we're just having a domestic.
Okay, so no, I know Pat because I study with him as well, and I think he's brilliant. I had a lesson with him this afternoon.
Oh wow!
But I think I
Pat, sorry, Pat. Well. Who? I didn't understand who you were talking about. Oh, Pat Garvey.
Pat Garvey. Pat Evelyn.
That's the chap.
Yeah, but I mean, I met him on Freddie G, which is a camp that I've been on for the last few years, and he's one of the tutors there. And started with him privately nearly a couple of years ago now, but he's done wonders for my playing.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. I mean, I think because now that he's got a kind of a good level of understanding of why I came here too, and just helping me to keep moving forward. That's really more than anything what I'm trying to do. and likewise with the other teachers too, but especially the drum teachers. Some of those guys are. So one of the other drum teachers I had last semester was Ben Thomas, and I'm not
Right,
sure if
yeah,
you're
he
familiar.
was.
A really nice guy, very and a fantastic drummer too.
Yeah, we had him on Freddie G a few years ago for a couple of days, and really nice guy.
And
Yeah,
the least
and
experienced when it comes to teachers.
He's the drummer for what's
Rag
the
and
guy
Bone Man.
called? Rag and Bone Man.
Okay. All crappy
Sorry,
names as well.
that's a Rag and Bone Man is a singer, Matt.
Yeah, no, I know that. I'm not completely, out of the
Oh,
loop.
okay.
Yeah, and I know at the beginning you and before the call, Matt, you'd mentioned the UK Drum Show, and that's where I got to meet you in
Yeah.
person. And some of the drummers there that I got to meet, Ash Stone being one of them, when I had a conversation with him about BIM and listed, my teachers, drum teachers, he knew those guys, and I thought it was really cool. Although, there's something to be said about community, and in the Mike's lessons, realm, we use the word family, but I think there is this sort of commonality and also closeness where a lot of people know a lot of, they're directly connected or know other people very well. In the drumming world, I think that can be very much the case.
Yeah,
And
that
who's
you was with Derek Lee, weren't you? You was on his stand
Derek, yeah, that's right.
for
Yeah,
Beat Note
I
app,
was helping him out with his app, which I've been using a lot for school. It's a great tool. I've been doing is transcribing the exercises I get from my lessons, my drum lessons, getting all those exercises, and then I transcribe them into the Beat Note app.
I
And
was talking to a friend last night about Beat Note. He's a drum teacher, and I was saying to him, you just need to fucking subscribe. It's brilliant.
I highly recommend. I have it on my iPad, and then what I do is if whatever room I can access that has a drum kit to practice, I'll have my iPad with me. And what I love about how once you transcribe something, it stores all of these sheets of beats into this repository, which is locally stored on whatever device you use, right? And so you don't have to go to multiple places to find what it is that you want to work on and practice. It's that ease of use and organizing of your practice.
Yesterday,
I
Archie
like
was
the
using.
transcribing. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying yesterday, Archie was printing, so he's teaching, which is really weird to say, but it's lovely. He's teaching a kid in here he has once a week, but also he teaches at the primary school, and he has a Saturday job where he teaches a group of drummers that their mission is to do a song a week or what have you. But he was printing off the beat. He was doing his, like you say, transcribing these beats and then printing off on paper as well from BeatNote app yesterday, ready for some of his lessons. So there's lots of. I mean, I know this is we are overdue to have Derek in. We're meant to have him in to talk to him about the app. I think we should do. But it is so. I mean, he obviously was involved in the Mike's in the Groove Scribe, wasn't he?
No.
Yeah,
No,
well,
was he not? Oh, sorry,
not
can I
Groove
get that wrong?
Scribe, but he was
Something like
involved
it.
in Groove Freedom.
Groove
Yeah.
Freedom. Sorry, Groove Freedom.
To
And the
start
Benny
with,
Greb
yeah.
click app, the Gap Click app as well. But yeah, it's a great program, and we've got it, and Archie's using it, and I haven't used it as much because I'm not teaching anyone, and because I probably need to use it the most. But
yeah, well, Matt, have you tried using it to practice your session 12?
Yeah, no, I haven't. But I need to find something to get me over the line on that one. And do you know what? I submitted one not long ago. I've done, I think, 2 submissions, and I thought I'd got it. And when Mike said, no, you're doing two, not three or something, and then Archie's going, no, you need to do three, not two. I'm like, am I not doing three? And I can't, then I realized I can't count to three, clearly. So yeah, it's a bit of a brain issue that I'm having, actually trying to even identify what I'm doing wrong. So I don't know how to overcome it. And it's the thing I've got to overcome. I've got until June to overcome it. That's my target.
Okay. You give yourself a deadline.
Yeah. Give myself a deadline.
I think going back to sort of what I like about that technology is you can create something that you can loop that gives you an audio reference.
Yeah.
So you hear what it is that you're trying to play, and you can slow it right down. You can break it up, and I think that repetition, that's the best way I learn as
Me
a
too,
drummer, and
yeah.
how I get better.
Yeah, the audio
What
part of it is what I need. Yeah. That's the reassurance, the
And that
confirmation.
reference as well.
Yeah.
what I've found with it though is that it's my use out of it is transcribing something to share with someone or for them to share with me, and I'm not a teacher. However, if I was, I think I would be using it all the time with my students. You can transcribe a groove, give it to them, and they can go off as long as they've got the app as well. They can go off and practice it, and do whatever they want with it. Um, and in talking to Derek when we were out with him a few months ago, he said that this is where it's at for teachers to have it and use it with their students. And suddenly it made sense. That's the beauty of it. It's far more than just having it for yourself and practicing with it. But I'm a real advocate of it. I think everyone
Yeah,
in the world should have it.
yeah, man.
And I've got the stickers here. I've got some Beat Note app stickers.
Oh, yeah. I'm a bit jealous.
Got a few of them, mate. Do you want one?
Nah, I wouldn't use it, but I'm a bit jealous. Got beat
Got one of the
sticker envy.
I've got on. I'll put it here, my little promo thing. Shall I? No, it doesn't
Yeah.
really work.
So, Carlos, in your time, who is the drum teacher that's had the most influence on you?
Oh, I love that question. Yeah, I would say that Mike Johnston from an educational side, but also in more recent years has been a hugely significant impact and inspiration. And earlier when I was talking about things like work ethic and outside of what you actually play, just thinking about what do you need to put in place in your life so you've got the means to play your instrument, practice it, if you just things like that, stumbling blocks, and making it so that it's something I look forward to doing. I think that was a big change, and then going from someone who only was interested in getting drum lessons, and that if I had someone in the room with me, to really loving the idea of going to a website and looking up an online course and just watching these videos over and over of the lesson, all the different demonstrations, that Mike gives and the explanations. And I think of all the different drum teachers and lessons I've had, that I think is one resonated with the most.
And so, with you being at BIMM now and everything that you're studying and learning, do you get much mileage out of Mike's lessons, the website now? Or
I still do. Yeah, on a regular basis. Actually, I came in thinking that it's something I wanted to continue because I would miss it, and I knew it would be fun to do over here. So if I book a rehearsal space somewhere in Brighton, and I've got a solid 2-3 hours, then often I'll try and, you know, carve out time just for a specific Mike's lessons lesson, whether it's an online course or something to do with sessions. And I've actually incorporated the two worlds together in one recently in a drum exam, in an assessment. And
Nice.
yeah, the assessment was, so you have to play to two drumless tracks of your choice, and one of those tracks was a Mike's Lessons session. So it sort of it was impetus sort of drive to learn that song, take that into the class at BIMM, get feedback from the classmates and the teacher, and then work on refining that performance, and then playing it in an exam setting where I'm in a room with just me, drum kit, and an examiner, you know, across from me, and so I got to do that as well.
So did you play the part as per the session instructions from Mike, or did you put your own slant on it?
I put my own parts to quite an extent, and it was, you know, it was one where you have to factor in other aspects like, you know, dampening and tuning, producing your own sound, and I had not intentionally, I'd not listened to the original recording, so I had no reference point. I mean, obviously other students of Mike's lessons had completed that particular session before, but I thought it was a really cool thing to already have this challenge presented to me, you know, wanting to do it right, and then kind of bringing that into a classroom, and then picking out things. Even the classmates, you know, were looking, you know, their observations. For example, the way I was playing the bass drum was louder than my snare drum strokes. Okay, what can I do then to, you know, match the weight, right?
Increase the volume of the snare strokes, obviously.
Just turn everything up.
Yeah. Which session was it then?
It was 21.
Oh, right. There's one you just passed then. Well,
that's right.
Last. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Not one I'm familiar with. I've probably seen it on the feed and on the group, but I've not.
And I'd actually, so it was, as I mentioned, one of two tracks, and the second one was it's an audition track for Cirque du Soleil, and that's something I've been working on for the last few years. And the way that works is that if you're a drummer auditioning, you're given 4 drumless tracks. You've got a reference track with the original drum recording, but then, you know, you've got to learn the song and do your take, you know, how you would play on it and record that. And I'm on sort of the final 4th track, and I used that as well as the other track in the exam to sort of drive me to learn the song to a comfortable level, you know, that where, okay, I can play this, you know, I'm confident in it. And similar to sessions, each of those songs are very they're different from each other in many ways. You know, different styles, different challenges in terms of the, you know, technical aspect. And so, you know, going through that process of learning the song, it develops different skills. So yeah, it's been to have that sort of means to, I think, to use that as a platform to help with what I'm working on in terms of my development now, I think was really awesome.
Yeah, I've learned so much from sessions and applied it into how I learn songs for my bands, or I'm just working out a solo from Rick Latham's Advanced Funk Studies, and the work I've spent a couple of weeks learning it just for sheer, you know, whatever. And I've noticed how I'm analysing my playing is very much in relation to sessions. Like, play it all the way through and think, oh, that bass drum note in that bar was a little bit weak, or and it's levels of detail that I never really thought about before. Incidentally, me and Mel went to see Cirque du Soleil about a year ago or less, and there was a guy called Alex Rodrigues drumming, who's absolutely fabulous. Totally blew my mind, and I thought, wow, what a gig! Really incredible.
Yeah, it's really. I'm a fan of the show in general, the production of it. I remember the first time I ever saw a show was at the Bellagio, and that's is the show where you've got all these acrobats and jumping in the water and all that stuff is cool, but to the left of me, that's where you've got the see-through window high up, and through that is a room of just the bass player and the drummer. And my head is constantly, I'm just constantly looking at what they're doing, thinking, wow,
Yeah.
what a cool job.
Yeah.
Is that the dream? Is that the dream?
Yeah, it's what I want to retire doing.
Yeah.
So have you auditioned, or are you in the process of doing it?
Yeah, in the process. So I've got this final track that I have to record and film myself performing, and then the last step would be to film an introduction video where I'm explaining to Cirque why I want to work and why I think I'm a good fit for the company. And yeah, and then I had there was one track I worked on over the summer break last year, and that was a really tremendous breakthrough moment where Mike was helping me weekly. I was driving from San Francisco to Folsom, which was 2.5 hour drive every Sunday, and just to work on this song and help give me sort of unlock things. So I had the tools to be able to play the song, and so just worked really hard on that, and to a point where I was able to play it, and it was the best thing I ever played.
So, question for you, Carlos: if you are on number 4 and you're ready to, if you were ready to do it, like if you're ready to submit your video, would you have to go back to San Francisco to do that with all your studio and stuff, or would you do that somewhere else?
Oh, the filming of to make the video of the performance.
For your
That's a good
submission.
question. Well, I yes is the answer to that. I think I would more than likely have to do that when I go back and have my own studio, or if if I've got the opportunity to record it somewhere like Mike. The third one I did was at Mike's studio. So something like that is going to be a better version of what I could make myself. But and unless I have an opportunity to use a recording studio, BIMM has one, and I do have a module that's actually centered on recording and studio skills.
That's what, that's kind of where I was going with it, really, because you're at BIMM. But also, if it was something that you're thinking of doing, and seriously, we might have some connections that we could get that done. Two decent Canon R6 cameras pointing at you, proper lighting and studio could happen. Just maybe we'll talk about that later if it was something.
Oh, thank you.
Because I might know a guy.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
So,
Yeah, no, we'd love to.
There's a very nice studio as well. Beautiful room. Up the road from you, well, Gatwick. So we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I think the timeline of it though is not something that once it's submitted, I think that the timeline then is different for I think almost every drummer, who even those who got the gig. And for example, there was one guy, Anthony Pacillo, who reached out to me through a little sample clip that Mike posted when I was doing a take for that other song over the last summer. And, you know, he reached out to me on Instagram and said, "Oh, hey, man, I saw that playing you did. You did a really awesome job. Great, you know, fantastic." And we had a chat, and he told me that for him, he had done the audition in 2010, and he finally got the gig in 2023. So it took him 13 years.
Wow.
And in between that time, he auditioned on site 6 or 7 times before he finally got the gig. So for him, it was a 13-year journey.
Long slog, yeah.
Bloody hell.
Oh,
So
I really appreciate that.
how many Cirque du Soleil drummers are there in anyone doing the gig at any one time?
Well, they're actually quite a number, you know, several, because you've got more touring shows than you have residencies at the moment. But there are a number of residency shows that are still active. Most of those are still in Vegas, but there's a new one that opened up in London. You've got one in Hawaii. There's one in Mexico, and and as I say, with the touring show between, you know, those and the residencies, and you've got I think it's contract basis and a lot of backup drummers as well, as you would for a lot of theatre production work.
Yeah,
of
so it must be running into the tens, mustn't it? Like 40 or 50 drummers altogether, or something, or more.
In total, I'm not sure. I mean, I suppose, in terms of rotation, but the names of people who are sort of established as that drama tied to the show, then it wouldn't be as many as that. But I think one other thing I try to remind myself on is that in terms of the ideal job to land, is that it might be something that I don't even know about that's on the horizon, that's going to take a number of years to build until we see it in the public. Thanks so much for having me. And I know it's been something we've talked about for a while, but I've finally got to meet you guys, Matt, you in person. Riza will get to do something, hopefully, sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Just one last thing. Are you going to be at the UK drum show?
Hopefully, in the same capacity I was last year. Yeah, we'll see. I would definitely like to. Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming in, and I really think that, just to summarize, it's a quite an inspiring story to hear that you've come from San Francisco, or come back over to further your career and to hone your skills. It's quite inspiring. So well done. Not well done. That sounds patronizing, but hats off. And cool.
Great to meet you, Carlos.
Yeah, likewise, Riza and Matt. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Right. And good night.
See you soon.
Thanks.
Good night.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.